creating things and watching yourself and what you've done and what Rickey's done, what you've all done is like, that's how you figure out who you are. You know, the first thing you post might not be right, but then you can figure out what's wrong with it and be like, oh, I would actually like it to be more like this. But if you never post it, you never see it, like you never get to have that evolution. And that's what I've realized the most is like, I got so many opportunities and I took every single thing that I could possibly take. But then it took a while for me to be like, oh, I really like writing and comedy. That's really who I am. But I couldn't have figured that out about myself without putting myself out there first. And so every day that you don't start is another day that you're losing out on figuring out who you are.
Hello and welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's The Business Program. I'm Lori Hammel, actor, author, and SAG-AFTRA member. It is my pleasure to introduce our panelists, Sarah Cooper, Alyssa Limperis, Danielle Pinnock, Caitlin Reilly, and Rickey Thompson. So great to have you all here. Thank you for joining us. So let's get started. What would you say, and whoever wants to start, go ahead. What would you say has been the biggest obstacle in getting to where you are, and how did you overcome it? Who'd like to start?
I guess I'll start.
Yeah, go for it.
That was terrifying. I'm sorry, can you say the question one more time because I just put it in my face?
All right. What has been the biggest obstacle for you to get to where you are? And how in the heck did you overcome it?
Okay, so I think for me, my biggest obstacle for a very long time, because I was sort of in a place of struggling, bouncing from agency to agency, having one professional audition a year, not sort of, boots on the ground, doing comedy shows around town. I think the biggest obstacle for me was creating a space for myself where a wider audience outside of my friends saw what I did. And once I started posting videos on TikTok and Instagram, I got that wider audience. And then that led to creating an opportunity for myself to walk through open doors and be considered for things that I wasn't being considered for before.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Yes. Very nice. Who'd like to go there? And please jump in.
I think that just brings up something for me, Caitlin, of when I first started sharing things online, I had a small Facebook group of just my friends and family that I would share ideas to first. And these were people that would be, give me gentle criticism. And that really gave me the confidence to share more widely. This is like 8 years ago before I really started sharing things a lot. And so that was something that helped me a lot. And then I think once you do go viral and you start to get a wider audience and you do start to get more people following you and you have more eyeballs, I think then you have another hurdle where you have people who you're very terrified of their opinions of what you're doing and you're wondering what they're going to think of what you're sharing. And so I actually just recently realized I have this phobia called allodoxophobia, which I don't think anyone's ever heard of. It's actually the fear of opinions.
I have that.
I have that as well.
Yeah, I think I have that too. And once you realize that opinions can't hurt you, and also nobody really cares that much what you're posting. Like people see it and then it's gone, and then they're thinking about themselves. And so you really have to remember that it's not so sacred. That's the other hard thing too. I'm just like going from hard thing to hard thing, but with something that is like, artistic, those goddamn numbers, those likes, those shares, it really interferes with your ability to be as creative as you want to be. And so like getting over, like those are opinions too, like getting over trying to please the algorithm is a big leap. And it's something that you still have to work on. And it really interferes with your creativity. And so trying to ignore those numbers and just be like, you know what, some stuff is going to be great and some stuff isn't. And that's okay. Because otherwise, if you don't produce enough, you won't really figure out what your voice is. You won't figure out what it is you want to share and what's going to work. So you really have to get over that hump of wanting to just do things that everyone's going to like immediately.
Totally.
I agree. I think that was like my biggest obstacle was like literally finding the confidence into like posting stuff about my actual private life. I feel like people are just so obsessed with trying to figure out like the real us. And I didn't realize that. And, once I started sharing more about like my dating life or like my friendship life, whatever, I got more popular. So I was like, okay, cool. But literally finding that confidence was the biggest obstacle ever. It was such a struggle. I was nervous about what people were thinking about my life. I found myself trying to be like somebody else. I was like, no, Rickey, you can't do that. You have to like love yourself and do what you want to do and love. So once you get past that, it's easy and fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And quick question, where do you find that confidence, Rickey?
Oh my goodness. I feel like by me surrounding myself with a good support system, like my family and my friends, they definitely helped me with that confidence. Anytime that I would feel bad about a comment or what somebody said, I would run to my mom or my best friends. They'll tell me like, Rickey, you're on top of the world. They don't know who you are. Live your life, do you, and you'll be fine. So without my support, woo, child, I don't know about that.
That's great.
I had a friend, this was so helpful to me because this was certainly, it's weird. It's like, I feel like that wasn't an issue in the beginning because you're doing it just for your friends. So in a way you are just kind of making stuff that you feel is fun, and that, at least that was my process, was like, this is what's really fun for me. And that was what drove a lot of my beginning. And then that middle, once, you are a little bit aware of the outcome, I could get hung up on the outcome. And I had a friend tell me that your work is just like a painting. You focus on the painting, you make a great painting, you make a painting that's real to you, you hang it on the wall and you don't worry about the people coming to the museum. Like, that's not your problem. They're at the museum and then you just focus on your next painting. And that, once I sort of had that shift and I shut off notifications, which honestly did help me a lot, just to be like, I'm putting this out because I like it and I'm leaving it and moving on. I think that was a big shift for me.
I actually just had that thought the other day, like if in the Renaissance people put up this is what I would do. I put up a painting, and if nobody liked it, I would take down the painting. That's what I did I
did that today. I did that today. No. I did that today and I'm still sober. I'm like, wait, I should do this tomorrow. It just doesn't feel good energetically today. People aren't liking it. And it's so stupid and not real. It's still a struggle. It's a constant struggle. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, it is a constant struggle. You're absolutely right.
And I think that's really good for everyone here that's watching to hear that. I mean, because, when you look at where you all are in your careers and the visibility that you have, you think, okay, that's done, checked off the list. And yet what you're talking about is very real. And you're talking about today, about how your feelings are mixed up, in the work, and then how you manage it so that you can continue to create from a place of authenticity. So it's wonderful to hear this, because also you're all human beings. Right? Yeah.
And
hey.
The other thing that I noticed is that if I sometimes I get in a very judgmental place of other things. And once I stopped being judgmental of other people's stuff, I was less judgmental with my own stuff as well. And so that really helped me too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity in the internet as well too. Like I'm very new to content creating, maybe about 3 years, right? And so I did 17 years old doing theaters. I mean, for 17 years, I was doing theater all around the world, off Broadway, in London, Chicago, getting paid in pizza. You know what I mean? I was very delusional when I was in college. And I was like, yes, I'm doing this moving class. I'm doing clown work. I'm about to be a star. And that's what I thought. I was like, and then I had $100,000 worth of debt. And Sally Mae, I was like, okay, 15 cents is probably going to pay this. You know what I mean? So I came, when I finally moved to Los Angeles, I would be in these auditions, which would be quite surreal in the fact that I had my MFA from a school overseas, right? And then I would be in this room with somebody who was in the original cast of Living Single and somebody who did the cinnamon challenge and ate a spoonful of cinnamon. And I said, okay, so how are we all in the same room together? What's happening here? And then I started realizing, like, I would go into commercial agencies and they would say, how many followers do you have? Or you would go into trying to get a regular theatrical agent. How many followers? What's your engagement? And I was like, well, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. Right. And so I have been fat and black my whole life. I grew up Jamaican. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to live in a certain delusion when you grow up in those tough ass neighborhoods. Right. And those situations, because then you can be called fat every moment. I'm like, and I'm bomb. OK, so like a lot of my friends that were really afraid to go on the internet. I said, well, let's at least try it. So I did it with my best friend, Lanisha Renee Frederick, and we created this page called #booked. And it was about maybe a year before the pandemic hit. And we were like, what would it be like if we were the one black handmaids auditioning for the one black handmaid's part, right? And we just do these little weird acting comedy scenarios. And then they started going viral. And then I started getting noticed from people on the street. And we were like, wait, this thing is really catching on. Mind you, I was a guest star on Young Sheldon for 4 years. And so when it came time for Ghost to happen, which I booked in the pandemic, the thing that CBS said, they said, oh my gosh, we know she was on Sheldon, but can she improvise? Is she funny? And I'm like, I was on your network for 4 years. And so my team was able to send all the #book sketches and all my Bridgerton sketches from my personal page. And they're like, she is funny. But it's crazy. What I'm realizing is that fame is subjective, first and foremost, but also the visibility will come in different avenues, and that's okay, especially if you're a multi-hyphenate. It may not just come from the TV show. It could come from the internet thing. It could come from the thing that you modeled and the campaign that you got. It could come from the commercial. Like, so many people have been hitting me up because I did that AT&T commercial that I never even got to see because I was overseas for so long. And they're like, AT&T girl. So it's okay to have your hand in different pots. And I think give yourself permission to have your hand in all of those pots too. And it can be scary, but all of these people that are on this Zoom right now, I've been following for years. I love all of y'all. So like when I say it's an honor to be on this call, like y'all are the blueprint. So I'm excited and I can't wait to work together.
Yes.
Yes.
Danielle, what you
Also,
said, that was
Oh.
Caitlin, please.
I will go first since my name starts with C. What you said was it reminded me for the longest time, I was so against like the internet thing because I felt like the internet thing was bad. Yeah. And the industry has changed so much, even since 2020, in the last 5 years, in the last 3 years, where, the internet is not what it used to be. And people need to create opportunity for themselves somehow. Like I was weirdly like a boots on the ground, like I'm going to do it the old fashioned way. I'm going to do shows around town and I'm going to walk into an office and I'm going to say, give me the part. And that's just not real anymore. It's not the 40s. And so it took me a long time to figure out like, oh, I need to get rid of my judgment on these things, believe in myself as a performer, as an actor, and put myself out there somehow. Else is going to do it for me, right? So it's interesting that you said that. That's what it made me think.
Yeah,
of.
no, it's true. Because I had this one woman show that I was doing in Chicago. Like when I tell y'all, it was so hard to find a job. Like I was getting cast as Sassy Slave for so long. And I was like, I'm sick of it. I was like, I'm talented. So I had this one woman show called Body Courage, which is what my username is online. And I don't like my friend LaRoyce Hawkins, who's on Chicago PD, was like, you got to get on Instagram. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was doing this show in like people's basements where I would go and interview people on the street or worldwide. And I would bring those interviews to the stage and perform as them. And so even those characters are some of the characters that I even do in my sketches. So like anybody that is, is a solo performer or you're really good at character work or you've done Groundlings or Second City or UCB or any of those things, or you just have a good knack for it, bring those to the internet. Try one out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. And what you were saying, Danielle, was reminding me like of when you first are drawn to the internet, for me, it was very much like, I think it is a great opportunity to get to show exactly how you are funny or who you are as a person, because the odds that that's going to even come up in an audition are low, never mind that you're going to book that. So I remember just feeling really relieved to be like, well, at the very least, I'm getting to create art. I wanted to do this business to create art. Obviously, I wanted to make a living off of it, but it was nice to be like, I'm not letting me not have representation or me not getting auditions stop me from doing art. So then I felt I could breathe. And then it's like, if the money comes, great, but at least I'm doing half of it. And I feel the internet is like, I feel very lucky to be in a place where we have that opportunity versus, in the 40s, Caitlin. Yeah. If they were in the 40s, not from adult.
And Danielle,
just have to fight for them. Sorry.
Do you want to also answer the question about what was the hardest obstacle for you to get to where you are right now? If you'd like to share that with us.
Oh, imposter syndrome will always be my the number one thing for me, because it's like I can have the degrees and the honors and the training and the experience. But then for some reason, there's something that's like, can you? And I think the thing is, because the internet specifically is so fast paced, you post something, we're moving on to the next news cycle. It moves so fast. And then when you don't get those likes, as y'all were talking about, and you don't get the comments, and you're like, dang, did I do something wrong? Maybe I should just be done with it. But I think the best way of dealing with imposter syndrome, as my very dear friend Dwayne Perkins says, is RIP to it, because that literally is going to be the killer to your creativity. Mm-hmm. You are good. You are enough. Just put the thing online. Don't worry about what mama's going to say and Uncle Tim and my cousins and, oh my gosh, my church group, I'm cussing. It doesn't matter. Just put it on, because somebody's going to identify with it and be like, wow, this actually helped me today, or this was funny, or you don't even understand, I was going through this today and this just made a whole world of difference for me. Just do it, as Nike says.
I want Danielle to follow me around every day and just say these things in my ear. Just scream, just while I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah,
I want it.
You would have made sure you didn't delete that thing earlier.
Absolutely.
Y'all got me through the pandemic.
I'll post it in the morning.
Y'all got me through the pandemic. I'm telling you, when I was dusty and crusty and just scrolling and oh my gosh, the joy that y'all gave me, just watching your videos, because I'm I had literally watched everything on Netflix. I've watched everything on Hulu. I've done all my shows. I've watched Prison Break for the 18th time. You know what I mean? Just seeing Rickey and Denzel, you know what I mean? It was everything. It was everything. And that's the other thing. I want the people watching this to remember, casting directors are also scrolling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are also scrolling.
So true.
Always. All the time.
Creators. Do you understand how many writing jobs, somebody reached out to me? Let me tell y'all a story, right? Let me tell y'all this thing. I've always been a writer. I was an essayist for a very long time and was playwright. And then I was like, maybe I'll get into TV writing, because that's what everyone wants to do in 2020. We were like, let's all become TV writers. And the scam of the internet, because I've been creating these characters and stuff. Tell me why Usher Raymond found me and was like, she's funny. Usher gave me my first TV writing job. And the way
so funny.
I write these characters. Yes, I scam my way into Scam Alicia. And I was like, I have to meet Usher on the Zoom. Usher on the Zoom. And I was just like, Mr. Raymond, I love you so much. Such a huge. What are we going to be working on today? I may not have gotten that opportunity just by sending a book of sketches. Right. Do you know what I mean? Or trying to do my material or videos or showcases or things like that. Sometimes the internet takes you right to the source. Mm-hmm. So, and that writing job then allowed me to get all these other opportunities. It allowed me to be in development with ABC and Warner Brothers and things like that. So that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Just do it. Just, nipples to the wind. It's scary, but feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, nipples to the wind.
Nipples to the wind, girl. Yeah.
We had a question that just came in. Oh, go ahead, Sarah. What were you going to say?
Really quick, Mel Robbins has this great quote, which is like, the internet is not for your friends. It's for you to express your creativity. So the people who are looking for you will find you.
Yes.
So try to remember that, like whatever you put out there, there are people that are going to relate to it. And Rickey, even like, imitating someone else, it's still going to be your own thing. If that's the way that you have to start, that's the way you have to start. That's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yes.
Thanks, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So a question that came in is, how do you prevent burnout? I often feel like I have to constantly be producing content or be buried by the algorithm. So we touched a little bit on that, but what do you do to prevent burnout?
I feel like I went through this a lot last year, and I think I made a rule for myself. And the rule for myself was, if I want to post something online, a video specifically, I am only going to do it when I feel like it. So I feel like the burnout comes from feeling like you need to have a schedule. And I know it's like every single time someone talks about the internet or the algorithm or the consistency or the followers, like the first thing you hear is like, make sure that you have a posting schedule. And I just think that's wrong, because especially if we're talking about like a creative space with actors specifically here, post when it comes to you, when you want to. Otherwise, you're messing with your own mojo. And if you have like 3 months where you're posting 3 times a week or twice a week, fine. And if you have a month where you post once because there's like stuff going on, or maybe you booked a professional job, like that's okay too. I think allowing yourself to not have a schedule prevents burnout. It's like counterintuitive, I think.
I think it's really important for you to have time for yourself as well. I feel like once you keep posting all the time to really beat that algorithm, you do lose your mojo, and then you also kind of lose yourself. So with me, I make sure that I always take time for myself. Like you said, Caitlin, when I feel like posting a video, I'll post a video. I've been doing social media for 10 years. I'm like, y'all not gonna miss me for one day. Like, I need my break, I need to go out, have a drink with friends to really just connect with myself, because when you get to that point, you think of it as like a job, and then this becomes not fun anymore. Like when I post content, I want to be able to enjoy it. This is my art. This is my baby. This is what I love. So yeah, take time for yourself and everything should be okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like sort of an aside, but, and I'm just about to bring up my dead dad, sorry, but I feel that this is, that when, like, just to highlight this point, when my dad got sick and I moved home for a year, sort of in the middle of the start of my career. And I remember spending so much time being like so worried that that everything was passing me by and that I was like missing my career and my life. And it's like, it was a year, which felt so long then. And that was probably a year of not making anything, not being on a show. And then like, I got a year with my dad before he died. And then I came back and I had a whole bunch of life experience, and I had like lived with my dad while he was dying, and everything was fine. And not only that, but like, I then ended up talking about that on stage, which then became a special on Peacock, which is not to say like that was why I'm happy I stayed home, but it's just like, you don't know what's going to come from anything. So follow life, and then art's going to come from life. But I think try to give yourself like the pandemic, we're on a writer's strike right now. Like these things are going to keep happening where life pauses. So I think in those moments, try not to be hard on yourself and just experience life. And then from that, art will come. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit to Alyssa about, in your special, No Bad Days, how did you walk that line between fiction and reality for that when you put that together?
Well, I think that I didn't. It started 100% reality. I started that show very soon after my dad passed because it was overwhelming to like, I wanted to process it. So I think stand-up for me has always been pretty reality, and I've loved characters for being fictionalized, heightened versions of reality. So in a way, that show is mostly reality with moments of heightening for my characters. But I feel that for me, stand-up's always been more reality, and then I go to characters when I want to sort of escape reality in a way. Or yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Sarah, for you, when you first started lip syncing to Trump, what motivated you? How did that get started for you? And what platforms did you first start doing that?
Jealousy. I wanted to be able to speak for as long as I wanted to without worrying about being interrupted. I wanted to say crazy things with nobody checking me on them. Like, I was like, wow, I wish I could get away with what he's getting away with. So I wasn't trying to imitate him so much as like, what would it be like if Sarah Cooper had this much power, you know? And so that was the real motivation for it. I mean, I Googled for a while, and he just reminded me of these guys in these meetings who would just speak and talk and not say anything. And I was just like, well, I'm going to be one of those guys. So, there was this clip where he was like, yeah, I'm going to form a committee. It's going to be a really good committee, and we're going to meet very often, and we're going to make some decisions, and they're going to be great decisions, and it's going to be the best committee ever. And I was like, okay, this is the clip. So that was the first thing that I just did. And I think the other thing was that I think I saw someone else, a woman, who was lip syncing him. And I thought that was so interesting, his voice coming out of a woman's mouth, because it just made you interpret it in a different way. And so, yeah, that was kind of the motivation for it.
And where did you start posting first?
I put it on TikTok just because TikTok had this lip syncing thing was sort of built into it. But the TikTok videos actually went viral on Twitter, mostly because it was so newsworthy, and Twitter was so great for newsworthy things back then. So
great. And Rickey, yours is very short form. When you first started out, how did you decide on the perfect length for your videos when you first started?
Well, I first started on Vine, which everything was like 6 seconds. So when I'm actually happy I started on that app, because now I'm quick with my humor. I know exactly what to do. I also watch like my watch time, and I want to see how long someone's going to watch my video. So I noticed that people do like short form content. I mean, people's attention span is very short. So they love like get to the point real quick, laugh, move on. So once I found it out, it worked out.
And so do you feel where it needs to end? Is that how you know, because we don't have, if Vine was just 6 seconds, that's no longer, the cutoff point anymore. So do you just feel where it seems like it should end?
Well, now I'm doing my own thing. I'm like, I'll mess when I post a 10-minute video. I don't care who watches. I watch my videos and I'm enjoying it. So, hey, somebody out there's not watching it. But I have been posting videos for like 3 minutes plus or whatever. And people are really sitting down and watching because they're so entertained. You have to keep people entertained through the whole video. You can never lose them at all. I make sure I'll hit a joke here, hit a joke there, hit a joke everywhere in the video. And then people just sit down and watch. You forget that you're watching 3 minutes when you're having a good time. So it works.
And you like watching your own videos. So that. Oh,
yes. I feel like I'm my biggest fan. Like, I will be messing around and having a bad day, and I will just scroll through my TikTok and I will be dying laughing. I'm like, damn, I'm that funny. Like, I live for myself, child. I love me. Okay.
I love it.
I do it all the time.
That's so great. That's so great. And also what's so nice about hearing you all talk about this today is that there's like this aspect of, I think so often like the tech can get lost or the creativity can get lost in the tech. And so what I'm hearing is just like really infusing who you are into this, something that you like, that you feel. And like Caitlin, you were talking about when to post. It's like when you feel that it's the time to post, as opposed to it's a schedule, those kinds of things. Because I think what it seems to me is that you all have found ways that work for you with what you want to be able to put out into the world. And obviously it's everyone is so different, but everyone has been successful in not only on the platforms that you've been on, but then for it to mushroom into all these other wonderful opportunities that have taken you, so far from the social media platform and yet back again. So it's a wonderful cycle, it feels like, is what you all have created for yourselves. I wanted to ask you, Danielle, what do you have as far as words of wisdom for like the content creators that are in our audience? Because you start, with your one-woman show, things like that. What would you say as far as for people to find a place to start putting things out there?
You know what? It's funny because I was just watching this podcast with Kev on Stage and Tabitha Brown, and who are I'm so inspired by both of them. And for people that are afraid of the tech element of it, because I hear that a lot, like, oh, I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do this. Sometimes it's just imagining, this is what they said, is that you're on a FaceTime call with a friend. And if you can just start off just like that, hey, as you know, our good Tabitha, hey, y'all, you know, or whatever your thing is, or telling a story about a dating story that you went through, or just be trying to get as personal as possible, or even the character is here, then just post that. You can learn how to edit. You know what I mean? You can go on YouTube and be like, iMovie. All of our phones have these capabilities. But if you're like, yo, I really don't even know how to split a clip, just start like that. I think just the doing is the most important part, because I know for Lanisa and I, when we did #booked, we had recorded that in October and we're just sitting on it for like 3-4 months before we even posted, because we were like, what if people hate us? What if the industry gets upset at us? We're exposing the industry and treatment of Black women. You know, child, bye. It's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Both of us are working, you know, and I think with any kind of thing like that, specifically with #book, where we are talking about how representation matters, especially when it comes to Black women in the industry. And, you know, yes, there is a fine line that you do have to walk, but it's been great, because I have to say that we've done many sketches about going into hair and makeup and coming out looking like Casper. You know what I mean? Or going in and not having the right hair products there. And I have to say, when I went to do Ghosts, they were like, so let's talk about hair. Like a Black hairstylist. Here are the different because I was like, yes. You know what I mean? But even my experiences on set have changed. But for anybody that's looking to just start, really just do. And don't let the editing or the overthinking get in your way. Just go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you ever start to overthink it, just look at Dude with Sign. He literally
that's it.
And he has millions of followers. It is nothing. He's doing absolutely nothing. Yes. So it's like, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yes. And I'm also going to say, Miss Sarah, I have to give you your flowers, because my Jamaican queen over here, okay, I love you so much. And those videos that you were doing about Trump had me scream laughing. And the way that you've been able to pivot just those videos into a book, into deals, into agency representation, into television shows. Like, this is the kind of
Broadway, I think.
Into Broadway. Okay.
Broadway.
Like, this that started on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter has now evolved into this gorgeous bouquet and field of work. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's now giving other people work as well too. You know, so like, flowers.
Thank you. And
I just love you.
I'll just say to you also, like, when creating things and watching yourself and what you've done and what Rickey's done, what you've all done, is like, that's how you figure out who you are. You know, the first thing you post might not be right, but then you can figure out what's wrong with it and be like, oh, I would actually like it to be more like this. But if you never post it, you never see it, like, you never get to have that evolution. And that's what I've realized the most is, like, I got so many opportunities and I took every single thing that I could possibly take. But then it took a while for me to be like, oh, I really like writing and comedy. That's really who I am. But I couldn't have figured that out about myself without putting myself out there first. And so every day that you don't start is another day that you're losing out on figuring out who you are. Don't do that.
Caitlin, that's fabulous. Caitlin, you play a lot of characters that kind of get under the skin of people. How do you so and it's wonderful. It's fabulous. So how do you reconcile, like, do you feel like, oh, I want people to know that that's not me, or how do you manage that? Because it's like kind of for some, it would be almost a shadow side, you know, that you're showing, you're revealing to people these types of kind of annoying characters. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I've been asked that a handful of times, and it's a really good question. But the first thing that comes to my head is like, nice isn't interesting. And pretty isn't interesting, and good. I mean, good is good, but good isn't interesting. And I feel like, I don't know, I gravitate towards chaos. I love it. And I also love cringe. And I just think there's beauty, because I obviously do a lot of female characters, but I think there's something beautiful about just like a woman's existence in many different forms.
Yes.
Basically, I then went on to talk about all of the iconic performances in cinematic history, which I know are nothing close or even adjacent to my TikTok videos, but all of those characters are like imperfect, flawed, sometimes evil characters. And I think the most interesting thing, if we're going to relate it to the internet, is I think that pretty, overly curated, overly filtered things on the internet are boring and uninteresting. And if you see that working out there in the wild, it is not real. It is fake. Those followers are bought. The likes are bought. It's not real. I just think, yeah.
I really want to know what video.
I'm done.
I want to know what video you made this morning and why you deleted it.
Still on Instagram, but I made a video making fun of dating podcasts.
Oh, period. Oh,
I will be posting it tomorrow morning on TikTok, so don't you worry.
Well, we had another question come up from our audience today. Do you feel pressured to keep doing more of the same things with your content that originally moved you into a viral place in the social media sphere? That's good. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Anyone want to take that?
I definitely have. I mean, I feel like I went through a really weird phase once I started booking jobs from this platform I created for myself, like getting booked in roles and, you know, booked a part in this TV show, booked a part in that TV show. I was like now booked and busy, which is what I wanted to be. But I now no longer had the time or space to sort of be this like internet fiend where I was posting 3 videos a week. And I started to get this weird like identity crisis where I felt like, who am I? What do they want from me? What am I supposed to do? And I started to feel this intense guilt of like, oh, well, if I stop posting the videos, if I start posting different videos, then people aren't going to like me anymore. But I'm over here doing the professional work, which is what I started doing the videos for in the first place. But then if I stop doing the videos that I won't do like I was going insane. And I think that I've said this before, it kind of goes back to, you have to really, in the most meta way possible, not care about what people think and not care about what you think about what people think. It's like, just do as is when you feel, when you can. Because I've definitely had an identity crisis where it's like, am I going to be the white girl on TikTok who makes fun of people all the time until I'm 60? Like who am I outside of that, you know? And you just can't, it's hard to do, but you just don't think of it that way, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard. And I love the term identity crisis because it really is, you know, I guess once you're like, okay, I'm the Trump girl, but wait, I don't want to be the Trump girl.
Right.
I don't want people to be like, every time I see Trump, I think of you. I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. You know? And I've had this, but before Trump, I had a website where I did only office humor, and I tried to pivot into politics, and people would be like, don't post politics, only post office humor. That's what we want. And now when I try to post anything that's not politics, they're like, why aren't you posting more politics? It's like, you just have to ignore it, like, you know, Caitlin says, and it's really, really hard. And it's taken me years. I mean, I actually just today started posting again and not really caring about the likes. It's taken a long time to get there. And it's like getting over that hump every time gets a little bit easier each time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm definitely like in my rebrand moment right now. I feel like people have followed me because I was like, you know, the best friend, the girls on TikTok or whatever, on all social media platforms. But then I found myself like, I noticed that I wanted to be sexy, okay? I wanted to, change up my content where, I'm not always screaming at my phone. I want to talk about what happened when I had this one night stand with a guy, or like, little things like that. I'm grown now, I'm 27. People are still trying to attach to Rickey who was 20 and, still trying to make it in this world. But I'm like, hey, I want to be more fun. I want to be more me. I remember me getting a lot into fashion, which I'm obsessed with. I remember going on the carpet, and I remember each person got to pose and look cute. But when it came to my moment, Rickey, do that dance you did yesterday. Oh, Rickey, are you wearing new boots right now? Like, I was like, okay, guys, okay, I get it. So I feel like, once you get in that moment where you're like, okay, cute, I want to do something different, I feel like everything becomes easier. I'm so happy with my content now. And people are like, oh my God, like this is the new mature Rickey. We see it, we love it. And that makes you feel so good. So once I blocked out those people who are like, I miss the old you, and I also gained a lot of new followers as well too, which is amazing as well. So, the rebrand was great for me. So I'm really happy. Mm-hmm.
Also, because we're specifically like talking about the internet, which is a crazy place, everyone feels like they can say anything at any point, no matter how mean or incorrect it is. So if you are getting to a place where whatever you're posting for yourself to make a platform for yourself in the industry, whatever that is, if you start gaining a lot of likes or follows or views or traction, and you're getting these crazy comments that ruin your day, it's not just don't. That's some idiot, some faceless idiot. I mean, it's like the internet is a lawless place. And I don't know. I never know how to end my thoughts. Sorry. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel it all does come back to just like yourself, loving yourself, knowing yourself, and following yourself. Because if you know and follow yourself, your content will change, and you might lose some followers or fans in the meantime. But what's the alternative? You keep doing something you don't want to do just to please people you've never met. It's like, forget it. I'm gonna follow me, and then, like Sarah said at the beginning, like the people who want this new version of me or these new things that I'm doing will be there, and if they're not, then okay, like bye. Yeah.
People who are your fans, like if they like you, they're gonna follow along with you. So
totally.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of comments from people saying like, how come you don't do Wasp Mom anymore? And it was like, because I'm a whole person with different opinions and characters and things, and I don't want to. And you just have to sort of move on from that, Also,
content's free. Like you're not
right. You want to pay me to make a Wasp Mom movie, like by all means. But yeah.
I'm getting paid now.
Right.
Who inspires you? Yes, these lovely people here.
Issa Rae.
Oh, Issa Rae.
Yeah.
Quinta Brunson.
Yeah, me and Quinta went to college together, and being able to see somebody that did it like on such a large scale,
totally,
is really super inspiring. I mean, I love me some Michaela Cole is I love her
yes.
so much. I mean, just gorgeous and just gifted. Yeah, those are definitely in this space. Those are the people that do inspire me.
Yeah. Those are it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody else that you would recommend for the viewers here today to make sure they check out?
God.
We really don't. We just want to support each other, and that's it.
Yeah, each other.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I think those
like
creators
enough.
Yeah, it's like all of those creators are the original. They started with a web series or with the internet, and then kept evolving. Imagine if they had stopped and been like, "No, I have to keep doing this thing." It's like all three of those ladies like evolved, and now they're running empires of incredible television. And,
if you don't evolve, actually, that's the worst. When I see creators who like get famous for something and then they just keep doing it, like 10 years later, they're still trying to do that same thing. It's not going well. So you actually really do have to
evolve. Even
allow yourself to evolve and change what you're doing for sure. Because I feel like people get so married to like that initial experience you have, for lack of a better word, like attention and opportunity. It's very exciting. And once you get like addicted to that, then you're not like changing and evolving and growing and expanding. And exactly what Sarah said. Yeah.
The thing that I like about Quinta Brunson so much is that I can't imagine how hard it must be, because I worked with CBS, and it's like when you go from the internet, you're making something on your own with your phone, to being on a set, and this is what I did in 6 months, going from this to like being on a set with Natasha Lyonne directing me and Maya Rudolph's there. I'm like, it is so hard to hold on to that, what you had alone with your phone. Mm-hmm. So hard to hold on to it. And so how she's able to be who she really is, no matter what's going on. I mean, to develop that, to really work on developing that is something that I'm, really working on. And that's what I just love so much about her.
Yeah.
How do you manage your own social media time when you're looking and staying out of compare and despair? Do you monitor how much time you're actually on there looking at other people's work? Because you also have to have time to do your lives and also to create. Do you find any tips that you have that you might want to share?
I think the comparing thing gets really hard, especially if you're looking at other people that you admire. And I think the best advice for that is there's enough room for everybody. That's like a really old saying, but especially in this industry, it's so true. Like, there is enough room for everyone. It's okay. Someone else's success is not your downfall. And that kind of helps me like get off my phone a little bit and like stop looking at numbers and stop refreshing and checking back,
Great.
I also just like focused on admiration as much as I can. Like sometimes I'll see something and I go, oh, I don't know about that. Like I'll get that judgmental thing. And then I've tried to change that into, no, I'm actually jealous. I actually wish I could do something like that. And then I start thinking, why can't I do something like that? And then all of a sudden it's an inspirational thing instead of being a thing that I'm comparing myself to. I'm like, no, actually I could do something like that if I wanted to.
Totally.
Yeah. It's not like an against, it's a with. Like we're all together.
And that's the beauty of the internet. Yeah, it's just like we are all doing our own thing. So we couldn't be that person. They couldn't be us. We're all so doing what is us. So it's almost, I think it's like, don't compare. And other people's wins is like, great, I can get a win too, because that person I really admire and they're doing something similar to me. They got a big win. Oh, I'm on the right track. I'm doing okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My big thing is just using everything as a tool. I mean, I'm really these days, because I definitely had I was way too into it. And so now I post and I don't scroll. Yeah. I don't scroll. I disable. I don't look at comments. I don't look at my notifications tab. And that has helped me so much, because then it's just I post and then I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah. I think we also have to remember, as actors and performers, even on the internet, is that we work in an industry of pretend. You know what I mean? Like, this is $1 billion industry of falsehoods and fallacies that we're trying to sell to the every quote unquote day person. And so even the competition, is not real. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what that person is going through when they are creating that content and all of the things that they're doing. And I think the thing that always keeps me in check is to remember, like, I have to have these touch grass moments where it's like, all right, sis, come off the internet, come off. This is not real life, because real life is going to see my mom and having some oxtails with my mom. Do you know what I mean? And cooking with her. Real life is, I had this moment recently, because it's not, and this is the other thing with the internet is like, and also the internet on top of being on a TV show or a movie or whatever you're doing, is that it's not real life for everybody to like you. You know what I mean? It's not real life for everything to be good to you. Craft services is not real life. You know what I mean? Like, it's delicious, but I'm like, child, when I get home, I got to make my own food, right? And so I think because in the pandemic as well, I know for myself, when I first started creating content, it was like, I'm creating content in the pandemic. I am staying at home in order, in place. I am now making a TV show. I lost track of reality for a bit, because I was like, okay, I'm now cocooned in Montreal for months. I'm coming back. Who's watching this show? What's happening? Oh, we're going to see the fans. We're outside. And it it was a little bit of shell shock that was happening. And so I would say not only just with comparison, just with anything in this industry, you have to make sure that you have a strong, grounded home base community to say, sis, bro, friend, get out.
Yes.
Come out of
Yes.
it. Don't play pretend no more.
Yes.
Come to friends, feel this rain on your head. Come on, let's go garden. You know what I mean? Let's go swim in the pool and have a little margarita with friends. Let's go check in with our elders. Let's call that auntie that needs to be called. You know what I mean? Because that's real life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important as well, too, especially with comparison, because it's like none of this shit is real. Sorry, I don't know.
100%.
Cursing on SAG-AFTRA.
No, but that home base, that's so it. Like your home base, solidifying your home. That's where almost all your answers are. Yeah. Go back to your home base.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rickey, you were talking too about like taking time for yourself, really making that space so that you can refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, for you, Caitlin, you know, you talked about in the LA Times, you talked about dealing with anxiety, about social media. How do you manage that? How do you manage that anxiety and still manage to be present on it?
Well, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I try really hard. I deleted a video today, so I have my ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, it's how do I put this? I try really hard to get into a place where it's what Danielle said. It's okay if some people don't like you. And for a while, that was not okay with me in my personal life, within myself, professionally, on the internet, like everywhere. And just, I've really committed to doing things only for myself and making sure that no matter what happens in my career and in life, I will always have my own back because that's all you have. No one's going to have your back for you. You have to have your own back. You have to truly take care of yourself. And I'm in my early 30s. When people talked about self-care, make sure you take care of yourself. Like, I'm like, what does that actually mean? I did not know what that meant until this year. All of this crazy stuff was happening in my life career-wise, and it was really overwhelming. And I was going back and forth and all kinds of things were happening and I was not doing well. And I had to figure out how to truly take care of myself, love myself, watch out for myself, make sure you eat well, better sleep, have nurtured relationships. And so that started to help my anxiety a lot with my career, because now I'm in a place where I'm like, I can catch anything that comes at me. I know I deleted a video today, but I have the confidence and like, I can do anything. Mm-hmm. So that's how I've combated that for sure.
Sarah, can I thank you so much, Caitlin, for answering that. That was
a really, really good answer. Yeah,
it was a really good answer. And we got the whole thing. The video didn't stop at all.
We got the whole thing.
Yeah. Sarah, can you just go back for a minute? And you're talking about the difference between doing your work when you're at home and creating everything online, and then being on set. Could you just talk a little? So how did you find your way when it was such a contrast between those two things? What, and what do you do now for yourself when you're on set?
I actually haven't been on set in a year, so it's been a while, but the last time I was on set, it was like in performing in front of 100 or 200 crew members and other actors who you have admired for decades is with a giant camera in your face. It is so intimidating. And I really leaned on the other actors. I leaned on the director. I just tried to be as kind to myself as possible. I watched my own thoughts. I found myself in my hotel room rehearsing lines I had already shot. over and over again in the bathroom. And I was like, this is how I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to be babbling these lines for the rest of my life. Once you do it, it's gone. It's not like the internet. You don't like it, you delete it. No, you've done it. It can be very, you can be mourning like, oh, I wish I'd said it that way. Oh, I wish I'd done it this way. Why didn't it is excruciating. It can be like truly excruciating. So, Caitlin, I kind of wish it was like back then where you just go in and you get the part and you know what I mean? Because then you can kind of like slowly, like what happened to me where it was just like, boom, like it's you, the camera's on. It was harder because I felt very underprepared in a lot of different situations. So I would say, leave your acting class. Don't leave any kind of group that's helping you. Get into one now because like, if once you get that big break, once you get that thing, just be ready. Just be as ready and prepared as you can be because you are performing in front of hundreds of people. And it's a completely different thing than performing in your living room by yourself with your iPhone.
But that's the other thing about a big break. It will try to break you down. And that's the thing that nobody really talks about. You know what I mean? Like you think it's like, oh my God, I'm thriving, I'm living. You know, you're giving up control. You know what I mean? Like you were the person holding the thing on the tripod. You may have had a friend with a ring light and and you can do as many takes as you want. You can kind of cultivate and say, yeah, this is the one. You know, CBS don't care, baby. And you may be half asleep in some of those takes, which has happened to me before. I was like, why is my eye twitching like that? What am I doing in there? What's going on? You got to release control. But that's when you then lean on that training. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whatever that training is for you, that could be life training, or you going to school, your MFA, your BFA, BA, comedy school, whatever that thing is, you then now have to just relinquish control because that's the thing. That big break will try to break you, whatever that break is for you, whether that's social media stardom, right? And now you're like, oh, I'm making money now. I was poor my whole life. How do I negotiate this money? So I think the thing is for all the actors that are watching this, what I will highly suggest is while you're in that vision board stage, right? While you're in that manifestation and prayerful stage of like, God, I want this thing, start to prepare. I mean, you are going to need an attorney. You know what I mean? Start researching now. You may not have no reason to research one, but you know, at some point when that big break comes, because it happens fast, you booked it, we're on set. Whoa, you're going to need a lawyer. Find somebody that can manage your money. Start learning about money. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's the thing, when you're getting money from all these different brands and commercials and all these things, and if you know you're bad with money, start getting into it. Now, y'all, start the preparation. Find the team. Yeah, you know what I mean? Who would your dream team be? And not the dream, it doesn't even have to be like the big CAA, ICM, UTA. It doesn't even have to be that. Somebody that gets your vision and where you're not going to get lost. You know what I mean? Somebody that's going to fight for you. I've had the same manager. He is so scrappy, y'all, for the last 7 years, who found me in Chicago at the Second City. That is still my booski. You know, he will call somebody at Netflix at 2:00 in the morning and say, you need to see her. Find that person, wherever that agency is, and start the planning from now because the big break is coming. And also get a good therapist. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Get a good therapist. My Black lady therapist keeps me together because sometimes people will try you when you get that big break and you need to say, sis, I need you on the main line. You know what I mean? Getting all this stuff ready to go. But yeah, that's.
I will say I was, you know, this was for Unfrosted. My first day was Jerry Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, and Hugh Grant. It was like, oh my God. And the thing that did help, I will say, that was a little bit like recording by myself, is that Jerry let me watch the playback. And so I was able to like correct my posture, correct my voice a little bit. Like that, so.
And that's actually, I'm glad you said that. Did you ask him to watch playback?
He asked me if I wanted to, and I thought, oh, that actually is a good idea. Maybe I should watch myself. And some actors don't like to watch themselves, but it actually helped me.
Yes. And I think I've been trying to get better at that. When I first got on set, I think I would just be so like, I will do whatever anyone wants. And I didn't want to take up any space, and I didn't want to make any like requests. And now I really, because of doing stuff on my own, it's like, I know how I'm going to get the best performance out of myself. So if I need something on set, or if I don't feel comfortable in a pair of pants or whatever it is, like I will be more... Like, speak up for yourself, basically. I know that our business is a lot about like pleasing other people, but also it like that's not how always we're going to be the best. And so try to find little ways that you can make a scary situation work.
Yes. Yeah. And like Adrian Martinez was on set and he said, always do one take just for you. I could never do it, but like he was like, just you can make the director happy, but do one take at least. That's just what you want to do.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I love too how you toggle between doing your own work and then working with others. And I think that's such an important aspect, like just even being able to navigate that, because it's something that you don't know, that something that you're doing in your living room is going to lead you to the thing that you want to do with other people. And Danielle, what you were talking about, like be prepared, start looking at those things and taking care of yourself,
Yes.
deeply, which is what I hear from everybody. Alyssa, you also go back and forth with, the drama of your real life and how you work with that in your comedy. Do you feel like from something like that, I mean, you're all funny, but do you feel like you want to have something that's going to be more dramatic for you coming up? Or do you like staying in the world of like a dramedy or some, does it make you want to go to drama?
Yeah, I really like drama and I really love comedy. And I think that like solo show came out of a very real thing, and the way I wanted to process that was a bit more dramatically. Then the mom stuff, I wanted to process that a little bit more in a joyful way. So I think I sort of let my life like lead. Maybe like my friend and I will make short films together, and sometimes those are a little bit moodier, so that might be about something dramatic that I'm dealing with, so I'll put it there. And then me and my friend are putting up a play about two like horrible women from Long Island with big ass wigs, and I'll do that there. So I think I like to almost toggle between it all and find the place where a certain where an avenue suits the project best. But I more lead through project, I guess, and what I'm feeling and going through. But I love drama, and I love doing drama.
I learned that I hate drama.
Okay.
Wow.
The play that I did, The Wanderers, I had to cry, every night. I had to get to a very emotional place every night. And I realized I like to laugh, and I like people laugh, and that's okay. And really be honest with yourself. Don't try to do everything. If that's not what you want to do, don't try to make yourself do it like I did, because it was hard.
You tried it, which is amazing.
Totally. Because I think for a while I was like hiding the fact that I wanted to do it. So I was just doing comedy because I was like, oh, I'm not gonna, like, I'm a comedian, but then it's like, no, I really like doing dramatic acting. And if I got to a place where that was all I was doing, I'd be quite happy. So I think it is about, being honest with yourself, trying stuff out and continuing to reassess. Yeah.
Great. We had another question come in. We've had so many wonderful questions. Thank you, everyone, for sending them in. Any advice on sending your social media material to casting directors and or prospective representation?
Let them see you.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yep.
I don't know if that's like bad advice, but let them come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Energetically, universally, let them come to you. You do your thing for the world. Let them come to you.
Yeah.
Story. That's how I feel.
Girl. Yes.
I can agree more.
Same.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said I agree. Mm-hmm.
You agree? Is there? We're kind of winding down right now as far as our time. So one of the things I'm wondering about is, do you have any tips for people because of your journey? You said so many great things today, and I just feel like everyone has. You've touched so many different parts of this about revealing yourself, about being authentic, about being vulnerable. But is there anything else that you feel like you haven't had a chance to say yet that you'd like to share with our viewers today?
I would say just have fun, honestly. Really love and enjoy your content. Have the best time making it. Rewatch it. If you're making yourself laugh, yourself smile, you did it. You did it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, the therapy is very important. Watch your own thoughts. If you're having negative thoughts, compulsive negative thoughts, try to watch that and try to love yourself. Try to celebrate yourself, like be your own Danielle Pinnock, like be your own. Possibly can be.
Yes. What you said, Caitlin, about having your own back. It's like, I don't know if you learned that, but we learned that at improv a lot. Before you go on with your team, you say, have your back to your teammates. And I think that's a really great sort of thing I'm going to take with me today. And like, I got my own back. I got your back. It's a nice thing to remind yourself. You got your back. So you're going to be okay no matter what happens. Yeah.
That's great. And also just quickly, anybody into Threads, or how do you feel about that?
Love it. Yes.
I'm having a great time on Threads.
Having a great
Threads
time.
is the new frontier. It's the wild, wild west. It's a happy place to be.
Having fun.
I don't know what it is as far as like video content. I don't know if people are vibing with that over there quite yet. It's very new.
I popped one on. I'll be honest.
I popped one on today too, Alyssa.
I popped one on.
Yeah.
I haven't popped one on yet, but it sounds fun. It sounds like
Pop
you guys.
one on.
Oh my gosh, you have to get on. I use Threads as my diary. I'm like, whatever I'm thinking, I'm on Threads. Yes. And people relate to it. They're like, oh my gosh, me too. I'm like, you having this thought too? Okay, girl, I see you. Yes, it's fun.
So I believe that the Threads algorithm, like the homepage, works similarly to TikTok, where it's not just the people you follow, it's kind of like everybody.
It's everybody.
Which is interesting to me. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I sound like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. See where it goes, folks.
We're very happy with it right now. We'll see where it goes.
Well, isn't that life though? We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I just want to thank all of you, Sarah, Danielle, Alyssa, Caitlin, Rickey. You're all so wonderful, and you're so helpful today in sharing so many points of view that I think are really going to be helpful for everyone. I know for sure everyone here today, but anyone who's going to be watching this video. So from the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, and wishing you every success in all of the areas that you're working. You're all multi-hyphenates, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate you spending time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.